Welcome to Honest Storytellers Night. My name is Josh, joined as always by my co-host Nathan.
Hello.
How have you been recently, mate? How have you been?
Not too bad. It's obviously we had a bit of a snow day on Thursday into Friday. Well, they did at school, didn't at home. So we left school about 4 o'clock as usual on Thursday. It's like, it's not going to stick. It's too wet. Driving home on this awful road, and it suddenly became a blizzard, and I couldn't see a damn thing. I had to slow right down. The wipers, all they did was push snow around the windscreen. Literally,
As
just
they
could
usually
not
do.
see. And it was just so heavy that the wipers were doing nothing. I was better off leaving it a couple of seconds and activating the wipers manually every now and then, because otherwise I couldn't see a damn thing. And I got a little bit down the road from home, and it was just rain. There's no snow. But school was cancelled because Evervale was just horrendous. So, yeah, I had to work from home on Friday, so that was fun. I had loads of courses, and I had some training to do, and my normal bits and bobs, so it doesn't bother me if the kids are there or not, does it? Because
No.
I don't really interact with them. So, yeah, that's it. Other than that, I've been doing a few different games. I started playing Gas Station Simulator, because I've been doing a lot of simulator games. Started playing that. It's not bad. But then I had an epiphany last night. Well, why don't I play Hogwarts Legacy? Because it's free now.
Okay.
It's actually really good. It's
All right,
not
sweet.
what I expected it to be. I thought it was just you kind of go around the classrooms and do all that kind of, role play stuff. No, there's a full-on interesting story you have to do. Like really, really good, interesting story that's based years before Harry Potter and all that. But it's like really, really cool. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. That's good. And my other channel, the React one, is actually doing pretty good at the moment. I've got just over 90 subs, just over 1,000 views total across the videos. Got 65 hours of watch time on there already, which is like,
That's impressive.
what the hell? One of my videos, the most popular one at the moment, is getting close to 700 views. So, yeah, for 4 videos, that's not bad at all. So, how's your week been?
Well, my week's been quite laid back, actually. Yesterday was a bit of a let-off, but chilled out. Got Resident Evil 0 done, finally. It's been long overdue to complete that game.
Yeah,
but now that it's done, I can look into doing a smaller little, something like you're doing, like a simulator, a little bit of a racing game, something nice and sweet.
Yeah,
to bring me
simulator
up to
ones do quite well, to be honest. Like the gas station simulator, the hotel simulator, they're good fun and they're little ones, so it's quite good. So you can just dip in and out, and it's not depending on the story; it's just what you do with it. So they always seem to do quite well, to be honest.
Yeah, I just want something simple, nice and easy to bring me up to the end of February, ready for Resident Evil 9, and I think a simulator game I can get done in that amount of time.
There are a few of them on PlayStation Plus as well, I believe.
Yeah, so, I did see. Yeah,
or if you're after another story type game, the one I did recently, the Pacific Drive, was good fun.
Bless me. Thank you. But yeah, furthermore, it was my birthday last night, well, yesterday.
Yep.
21.
Getting all downhill from there.
Yep, downhill.
As I know.
But it was a great night last night. I had a great day. I got some very nice gifts.
Excellent.
I will show at some point, just not tonight. But other than that, my React channel has been made. I haven't done anything yet. It's just basics done. Once I've got everything sorted out, that's when I'm going to start promoting it. So it should be ready by next week.
Cool.
My streaming channel is doing decent for the size it is, with 2 streams only on it at the moment. It's got some good attention.
Oh, that's good.
And other than that, pretty much it. I've had a chill week.
Excellent.
Anyways, are you ready for today's topic?
Hopefully.
Well, I'll start off by saying 1 ring to rule them all. 1 ring to find them. 1 ring to bring them all. And in the darkness bind them.
Ashnas de Batuluk. Ashnas Grimbatul. Yeah, we all know that.
It is the 25th anniversary of the Lord of the Rings films, not the books, just to clarify.
Yeah, 25th anniversary of the books. That would be an achievement, wouldn't it? Like,
starting this coming weekend, so Friday when people see this or listen to this, that's the 25th official starting date. And as I mentioned last week off air on Monday, this weekend I'm going to be watching all three extended editions in the cinema, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. However, this topic today, already starting off with the quote from Around the One Ring, today's topic is all about the 25th anniversary of the films, and we are going to have a nice long chat about the world of Lord of the Rings and what's to come, and what's past. And to start off, I have got something that I've written out that I will recite. The 25th anniversary of the Lord of the Rings trilogy is being collaborated throughout 2026 with major events, including special cinema re-releases of the extended editions in January and February, orchestral concerts featuring Howard Shore's score across the UK in the late 2026, most likely going to be September till Christmas, most likely going to be the O2 and the Royal Albert Hall, as you would expect. And the current reunion issue from the Empire magazine that got released 2 days ago, featuring cast interviews and cast expectations for the future of the world of the Lord of the Rings. These collaborations honour the 2001 release of The Fellowship of the Ring, bringing fans together for nostalgia and to experience the epic films once again and bring it down and above to new generations. So, first topic of this topic is the hunt for Gollum. I have got here officially reprising their roles, potentially reprising their roles, not reprising their roles, and unknown. So I will state, officially reprising, we have Elijah Wood as Frodo Baggins, Sir Ian McKellen as Gandalf, Sean Astin as Samwise Gamgee, Billy Boyd for Pippin Took, Dominic Monaghan, Merry Brandybuck, and Andy Serkis Gollum. Now, this is where you're allowed to chip in for your information. The potential for reprising roles is on the verge. It's been talks ever since Andy Serkis announced that he's directing The Hunt for Gollum. So these are the potential for reprising. Cate Blanchett as Galadriel, Liv Tyler as Arwen, Orlando Bloom as Legolas, Sean Bean as Boromir, Lawrence McCord as Lurtz in Lord of the Rings, but otherwise he plays orcs and Uruks. Martin Freeman as Bilbo Baggins, Richard Armitage as Thorin Oakenshield, Lee Pace as King Thranduil, and Peter Jackson as a cameo. Out of all those potential reprising, which one do you want to see the most, mate?
I'm not sure because a lot of them are getting
old and on now. Yeah,
a bit old. Arwen, I don't want to see Arwen like Liv Tyler without Viggo.
Agreed.
To be honest, that's a bit. The main Hobbit cast, that should be fine. I guess we'll have to see.
The Martin Freeman one is as of recent because we obviously don't have original Bilbo. May he rest in peace, Ian Holm. But Martin Freeman is the next best thing because he played Bilbo.
But then why do we need Bilbo if it's, or is it going back in time and showing what we had in The Hobbit anyway?
It's starting directly from the end of The Hobbit till halfway through The Fellowship of the Ring. That's what we know thus far of the script.
That kind of makes sense because obviously Gollum disappeared for quite some time and then was taken by Sauron's forces and tortured until he gave up the name of Baggins.
Exactly.
So yeah, that kind of makes sense. But I don't know if we need all of the people that are there.
The only one for potential for reprising, as I mentioned, Cate Blanchett, Liv Tyler, Orlando Bloom, Sean Bean, Lawrence McCord, Martin Freeman, Richard Armitage, Lee Pace, and
Richard Armitage shouldn't be in it.
He shouldn't be in it. No.
Thorin Oakenshield dead. He's already dead.
Yes, I know.
The Hobbit, so why do we need him?
Why do we need him?
He never met Gollum anyway.
Exactly, it might be a flashback. But regardless, he's a potential for reprising his role. I don't understand why, but it will be interesting if he
they're
does
just
come back.
throwing out names of people who have appeared at some point in the Lord of the
Mm.
Rings movie, going, "Oh yeah, they'll do. We'll have them." Like, well,
But when it comes for potential for reprising, I want to see Kate Blanchett come back as Galadriel. I want
is
Lee Pace.
Galadriel needed in the story though?
She's not
That's my
mentioned.
question.
The only time she interacts within the entire hunt for Gollum is the final meeting of the White Council, which we got in The Hobbit.
So, is she needed?
Yeah, but this is the thing. She might do a narrative piece, like
she might
did
do
with
like
the
other
Lord of the
like,
Rings,
which would make sense. That's the only way I could really see having any point of it being in there. Otherwise, they're just putting her in there for the sake of it. She's not going to go running. There's nothing she can do really to help. She's in Lothlorien. She's out the way. She's not going to be interacting in any particular way to actually help with them trying to find Gollum. So,
as for Orlando Bloom, we kind of need to see Orlando Bloom as Legolas, or if we can get someone else who looks slightly like that.
Is he now too old? That's the question.
That's the problem. Yeah, and
the thing is, if we're not getting the other two, we don't need him. It'll look odd having one of the three if we haven't got the other two. I'm sorry, but if the other two aren't in it, which they're not going to be because they're too old, he needs to not be in it so they can have other people, or otherwise it'll feel odd having somebody that's original and the other ones that aren't.
The only acceptance that has a connection to Legolas that's in potential for reprising is Lee Pace as King Thranduil, because that's where Gollum's imprisoned in Mirkwood, and the King Thranduil is mentioned a lot within that story. Gandalf speaks to him, Aragorn speaks to him. He has a confrontation with both of them and Gollum, and the orcs attacking Mirkwood. We need to see.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Peter Jackson returning as a cameo. That's a given. He's a producer. So is his wife. Yeah. Sean Bean as Boromir. It will be interesting to see Boromir because we know that Gandalf goes to Minas Tirith.
I can't imagine Sean Bean doing it again.
But
he's a bit older. He may do, but it depends what's asked of him. Because they're going to shoot on location again, and it depends where they shoot on location because he won't take helicopters, and he's getting a bit old to be trekking around the wilderness.
Yes, agreed.
So,
well, in the story of The Hunt for Gollum, he is only in Minas Tirith for a short brief of time before he goes to Osgiliath with his brother Faramir.
And once again, if they're replacing some of the Fellowship, do they just replace all of the ones that are, aged out? Because he is a lot older.
Oh God, yeah.
And it's just not. It's not going to work right. Yeah, you can de-age, but then you can also, deep fake people and everything else. So, where do you draw the line? Do you just go, everyone's a bit old, we'll just use new people? Hopefully, they don't go, well, we've already got somebody that plays Galadriel in something else, so she could always be in it. I really hope they don't go down that route, though.
No.
If they do that, that'll kind of kill it a little bit, and it'll tie it to something that we can't stand.
Agreed.
That's my only concern. If they don't have originals reprising it, they'll have ones that are their replacements. Like, if Ian McKellen said, I'm not able to do this, do they get that weird guy from The Rings of Power? It's like, that's the concern I have with all of this when you're bringing back people.
The thing is, officially reprising, Sir Ian McKellen has been announced to be Gandalf.
He has, but anything can happen.
Anything can happen. He
is an older gentleman now, and they haven't even started filming or anything yet. So it's always a worry. He may just go, it's too much travel. It's,
I mean, it's perfect for him and Avengers Endgame because they're shooting in London. He's in his home country. He can just go straight to on set.
If he's going over to New Zealand and the harsh conditions and the costume and all the forests, it's not a great place for someone at advanced age. I'm not saying that he's frail, because he's obviously not. He's still working and doing everything else, but he is of that age. I think him and Patrick Stewart are the same age, and Patrick Stewart is starting to look a bit frail.
Yes,
they are.
So moving on.
So.
to officially not reprising their roles. There's only 3 that have announced that they will not be returning. Hugo Weaving as Elrond.
Yeah, because
he stated that
old.
He's old. He feels like he's too old. He feels like he's done as much as he can with Elrond, and it's a disservice to the fans if they keep de-aging him. They de-aged Hugo Weaving in The Hobbit, and it just didn't look right to him. The other one that we already know of is Viggo Mortensen, the most recent Heartbreak.
Yeah.
Same reason, too old. He feels like he's done as
much
as
is understandable because it's 25 years ago, and he's not a spring chicken.
It's, definitely. Well, he's already in his 40s when he got announced, so he's a cracker old now. And the other one I got announced way back at the beginning of the announcement of The Hunt for Gollum is John Rhys Davies for Gimli.
We knew he wouldn't be able to.
He wouldn't.
Gimli again. There's no way.
No, he doesn't even show up. But again, it's film. They twist and turn things, and John Rhys Davies immediately denied everything. Like, I'm not turning up as Gimli. Gimli doesn't turn up in the books. It's not Gimli's realm. He doesn't turn up until the Fellowship of the Ring starts. Yeah. And that's perfectly fine. As for unknown, we've got Michael Mizrahi, who plays Thrain, and that's perfect because Thrain is in that story. He gives Gandalf the key to Erebor. He gives Gandalf information about Smaug and Sauron, and then there's going to be a lot of flashbacks in The Hunt for Gollum that we know of regarding Thrain. So it's unknown that if he's coming back, but if he does, I wouldn't be upset about it. Then we've got Sylvester McCoy, who plays Radagast. Radagast is a big pillar in the Hunt for Gollum story. Yeah. He's a vital role, and if Sylvester McCoy announces his return, that's a bonus, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's potential because although he is old, he was still old when he did, last time Radagast. Yeah. So he could get away with it, and he's not like he has to run around.
No, because literally he just turns up on his sled with Bunderbund rabbits, and he just speaks to Gandalf on the road to the Gap of
Exactly, so he can do it. I really hope he doesn't have the bird shit on his face like his last one, to be honest. But, other than that, I think he can do it. Sylvester McCoy's brilliant. He's a former Doctor Who, so I'm always going to be in favour of him.
And then we have got a very upsetting one, Evergreen Lily as Tariel. With her recent situation, with her brain damage, I highly doubt, but she wants to push for her acting career to stay alive because she's got a few good roles still in her career that's still going.
But is the character needed in this?
Yeah, this is another one. If Orlando Bloom doesn't return as Legolas, there's no need for Tariel. There just isn't. But if Tariel returns and then there is no Legolas, Orlando Bloom Legolas, and there's a Evergreen Lily as Tariel, then that's kind of, we got one out of the two, and it's
she was good, Evangeline. She's been in some good movies. She was good in Ant-Man the Wasp and so on. But I think they're just putting the character in because her character in Hobbit was kind of like, really, it just got a bit much. My biggest question is Saruman. You expect Saruman to be somewhere in the story?
Well, we know from the events of the end of the Hobbit book and film, he deals with Sauron his own way, and that's clearly the Palantir. We don't necessarily see or hear of Saruman that much in the Hunt for Gollum.
But there would be something.
There will be stuff. There will be stuff because Gandalf will constantly go to Isengard and challenge Saruman, like the rings. Saruman is constantly telling Gandalf that the ring has washed up into sea. There's no way we can find the ring. But Saruman still walks the stream and river that Isildur died, looking for the ring. He's trying to throw a cloak over Gandalf's vision, but Gandalf knows where the ring could be, and it might be Hobbiton.
Yeah, but he's not sure for quite some time, is he? That's the trouble. And so he's doing the research.
Researching it. in Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
But yeah, then that brings us up to the beginning of the Fellowship of the Ring when he comes back.
Yeah, so at some point he should appear there because
Hmm.
Gandalf is discussing it with him, and he has to be there for the events that continue on later. Then that also means there's Grima Wormtongue show up. You know, there's all these other people that could potentially show up in the storyline, depending where they go with it, because obviously it's not an actual established story as such, is it? There's only pieces.
The only official place in the Lord of the Rings that Gandalf doesn't go to when Aragorn and Gandalf are hunting for Gollum is Rohan. He doesn't go to Rohan because in this time where Gandalf is searching for Gollum, doing his research, Aragorn's out in the wilderness hunting down Gollum. The king, Rohan's kingdom, is being subdued by Grima Wormtongue and Saruman. And Gandalf doesn't even
Here's
go there.
the question. Because obviously the movies and the books, there is a little bit of discrepancy of times.
Yes.
Between The Hobbit and the start of Fellowship. And ages, like Bilbo Wooten is obviously a little bit older than he appears to be. And Frodo should be a lot older than he was in the movies.
Yes.
You know, the ages of the Hobbits are a little bit off because Frodo should be older than the other Hobbits. Hence why they call him, like, you know, Master Frodo, because he is an older figure. He was, what, in his 50s or something like that, I think?
Bilbo was 51.
Yeah, no,
Frodo.
In Fellowship.
In Fellowship.
About the same,
yeah,
he was about the same
Frodo's was about
Bilbo.
late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah, he's about similar age. Because he actually decided to leave Hobbiton at the same age that Bilbo left, I believe. I remember correctly, he left at the same age.
I know Bilbo. I know Bilbo was 51 come to the end of the events of The Hobbit, and The Hobbit takes 6 weeks. It's a summer holidays, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Frodo was that 51. Age. But in the movies, he's more like.
Yeah, because I know Bilbo was 51.
Yeah, Frodo, I believe, was 51 as well. He was older than the other hobbits. Definitely, he was more of a you know. As I said, they call him Master Frodo because he's a little bit older and he's a bit more of a body figure. You don't get that sense in the Lord of the Rings movies because he seems a bit younger than all of them a little bit. That's because of who he is. He's got a baby face. But you actually look at the ages of the hobbits and you go, really? They're that young, some of them? And it's like, wow. It'd be interesting to see what ages they actually were. I can't remember. I don't remember his age. I can't remember the other ones. But I think they go really young. When you look at Merry and Pippin, they're quite young.
So yeah, Frodo leaves at 51, same age as Bilbo. Who left the Shire. Samwise is 44 when he leaves. Merry and Pippin are the younger cousins of Frodo, and they both are 22 when he leaves, pretty much. Yeah, because Frodo, he goes into the Grey Havens. Samwise, he ends up having a lot of kids, and he is the greatest mayor of Hobbiton. He was deemed the greatest mayor that Hobbiton had ever had.
Yeah.
When he passed away, that's when Merry and Pippin go to Minas Tirith and die and get buried side by side to Aragorn.
Which Vigo still isn't up for. I don't know why. That's just dreadful.
It's just,
he won't have a choice. The other two are just going to get themselves buried with him regardless.
Yeah. Which opens the next part that I want to talk about, perfectly segueing into, do you think we will get a payoff for Merry, Pippin, and Sam at the end of the Hunt for Gollum? Because we got Frodo and Bilbo's payoff at the end of the Return of the King. Will we get the final 3 hobbits and their end of the stories?
I don't think so, because they didn't do the end of the story correctly. They didn't do the whole raising of the Shire and all that, which I still think is a mistake, because it showed the other hobbits that these guys are heroes. They saved Hobbiton. That didn't happen. So all they know is these bunch of guys went away and came back. The rest of Hobbiton and the Shire and all the hobbits have no idea these guys are heroes. They don't know the things they can do. They haven't seen it, but that was the whole point of when they got back, they saved the Shire. Because they had to show their people that this is why they're away. This is what they're doing. They save the world. Because they don't care. And hobbits don't care about the rest of the world. They have no idea about Sauron. They don't know what was going on with the ring and the war. It didn't touch them, apart from the ring wraiths showing up.
Yeah, they just enjoy their time.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people they want to break, and some of them a little bit taller than they used to be. That's it. And that they got funky armor. That's all they know about it. So Sam becoming mayor and everything else doesn't make as much sense because he's just a bloody gardener. Why would he then? They don't see the hero that Sam is. They see, oh, the gardener's back, and he's got a little bit of confidence. He's Astro Rodeo. That it doesn't then make sense for them to be kind of revered figures or anything else, because they haven't actually done anything. In the eyes of the hobbits, they just went away. The troublemakers, they left and came back. Same as Bilbo did, and look what happened to him. He was a bit strange. So I don't think making Sam mayor and doing all that would make a lot of sense with the story that they've woven.
Yes, I do see eye to eye on that. I do agree. Which reminds me, in the Return of the King behind the scenes disc for the extended edition, Christopher Lee states that he loves Saruman. He loves the character. He loved the way he made the character come to life. But he really, really did not like the way the searing of the Shire was mentioned in the Fellowship of the Ring, and it never got paid off. And he wasn't happy about Saruman being killed the way he got killed.
No, that was the whole thing when they look in the mirror of Gladriel and Sam sees the Shire burning, and it never happens. It's like, well,
you've teased those and you didn't pay it off now.
What did they do to stop it? Oh, they killed Saruman early. Yeah, great. But the hobbits did nothing to save the Shire. No. Absolutely nothing. Grima Wormtongue turned on Saruman and killed him. So there was no payoff for anybody. Like I said, they don't become heroes because in the eyes of the hobbits because they don't do anything for the hobbits. The hobbits are just there, happy.
The only leeway for the searing of the Shire to not happen, for Saruman not to be killed off in the beginning of Return of the King, is because Peter Jackson signed a 3-picture deal. He wanted 4. It is well known that he wanted 4, but Warner Bros. Didn't budge. They wanted 3.
Yeah, but there's other things they could have cut. This is my biggest problem with all the Lord of the Rings movies, including The Hobbit, is they added a whole bunch of shit and took away a bunch of shit. Well, don't add the shit to take away stuff. Keep it like it bloody was. We're also, we've never had Tom Bombadil in the movies. It was an important figure. Let's be honest. I know it was a bit of a comical figure in many ways, but he was important. And the whole thing with the barrel whites and the blades they had, and that's how they managed to, do what they did later with the Nazgul King. None of that makes any sense in the movie, and it's so frustrating that there's little bits like that have a big payoff, and they just went, "Oh, we don't need that. Let's add this." Like in The Hobbit, they turned a smaller book into bigger movies. Like we didn't need all these strictly love stories between hobbits and elves. It doesn't make any sense, especially since he's going to die anyway. I don't know why they had to stretch it out so far, and I think in many ways they ruined a lot of it by stretching it out and trying to add stuff that didn't matter. And they did that a lot in Lord of the Rings as well, and they were just little bits. It's like, I don't care about that.
It's just it's angering when we like the Battle of the Five Armies. In the book, it's one of the best fantasy battles in any novels. And then when it gets translated to film, how can a hour and a half war-ridden area battle be so boring? Because it is. The Battle of Five Armies, the entire battle from when Azog starts the raid, it's boring. And when we put that into comparison to what happened in Lord of the Rings, every single battle outshines the biggest battle of the dwarves, which is that battle against Azog in the films. But the question is, do you think we will see the battle of the Woodland realm in The Hunt for Gollum? Because we know Sauron sends a folly of thousands of orcs from Mordor, from Angmar and other places situated around Mirkwood. He just sends them all to attack because they know Sauron knows Gollum's been captive. They're being held captive. He also knows that if Gollum gives away the location of the ring, it's done. he's got a bigger problem on his hands, a longer fight, a longer time to find
What
Loki.
I think it all depends on is how long are they going to make the movie, or are they going to try and split it up into more movies to maximize profits? You know what I mean? Because they could extend it and go, oh, we'll have a big battle at the end of this one, lead into the next one. It's like, oh no, what's going to happen? This is, and you know what I mean? Leave it on a cliffhanger, which is what they tend to do with these movies. Is they'll add loads of shit and cut it up and go, oh, we can make 2 movies out if we add this big battle.
We can do it like this. Let's give our fanfic, that's per se our fan fiction. So we know that Andy Serkis has signed a 2-film deal. We're going to get 2 films. He wouldn't mind a third, but how would you tell the beginning and end of each film? Let's put ourselves in Andy Serkis's shoes. Well, how would you start it and how would you end it?
You have to start it the last time you see Gollum in The Hobbit. Yep. You have to start it from that point, and then what happens from them, and you've got to end it the first time you see him in Lord of the Rings.
And in my opinion, that should be from when Bilbo kicks him and jumps over him. Gollum goes absolute batshit insane. We know that in the books. He loses his mind on top of already losing his mind.
Yeah.
And we should end the entire film for Hunt for Gollum when Gollum puts his eyes over the ladder in Mount Moria.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it
should begin.
And then him following. No, he comes up, and then they go off, and he follows them into the darkness, and that's the end. That's how it should end. Is him following them, so you actually see him following them from his perspective.
See, I wouldn't mind that. But the only way to finish it then is when he notices Boromir and Aragorn looking at him in the river when he's on that driftwood. Because if we get to see Gollum's perspective of him traversing Mines of Moria,
and it can do that until he's actually revealed.
Yeah, until he's
revealed. Do it at the point when he's revealed, which is then makes sense. It's not just the point that he's first kind of hinted at, but when actually revealed,
which would be Frodo and Sam. I would love, when you mention that, I would love to see Gollum and Smeagol fight each other about, do we approach the hobbits now while they are sleeping, or do we wait and see where they go? And obviously we know he attacks while the 2 hobbits are sleeping. Credits.
Yeah, exactly.
It's simple.
That's they need to do more, but they won't. They won't do that. They'll do something else, and it'll be.
See, you and I are perfect examples of if fans had the opportunity to write it properly, we could do better.
But that's what Peter Jackson was supposed to be. That's what Fellowship kind of started out, apart from Tom Bombadil film, which I understand why they kept him out, but they could have done something to explain the swords rather than just, oh look, here's the sword, here, have it. That for me was the biggest cop out of anything. It's like in Harry Potter. You get the Marauders map. They make no explanation about where the Marauders map came from and who made it. It's got their names on it, and they did not explain who those people were at all. It's like, that's quite an important factor. Especially since, as something they missed out as well, is after the last of the original Marauders died, the map ceased to work. And you don't have any sense of any of that because it's just a map that some guys made with some weird names, but they didn't explain who it was that made it. And that was really important. And I hate it when they keep cutting out that seems like a little thing, but it has such a big explanation of something that's going on. And then unless you know the story, you'll be like, well, what's this thing? This is just a convenient plot thing, isn't it? They've just happened to have a map that tells you everything. But there's a whole reason of why it came to be and why it does what it does and why it insults Snape. There's a whole reason for that you never get.
No.
And that's the same with Lord of the Rings. There's little bits like that make sense when you have the little bits. I keep going back to Tom Bombadil because for me, it's one of the biggest moments that was cut out, but then made other things not make sense. The Nazgul King is all powerful. No man can harm me and all this. And yet, a hobbit can slash his ankles with just a generic sword. Well, that's not what it's about. The whole point of what is the lineage of that weapon, where it came from. That's how it was able to, damn it. It's just frustrates me. Really, really does.
No, I'm just more now that we've got the official announcement of the 4 Hobbits and Ian McKellen coming back, and the books and magazines that have already been released, like the Elite magazines and Epic magazines, that all getting released of these interviews that all 5 of them have done, and Andy Serkis being the director with an acting director, and Peter Jackson and his wife going back to set the stage. It's got so much raw potential to be a fan service. Do it as correctly as possible.
But they don't do it. The only one of them that really would be more inclined to make it more of a fan service is Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis. And he's the director.
But he's not the producer. The producers pull the strings. And it's what
there's two things on Andy Serkis's on like devils, 2 devils. You've got the producer being Peter Jackson and his wife, and then on the other shoulder you've got the filming company, the filming studio that's given Andy Serkis the potential. It happened to The Hobbit. Warner Brothers were treating everyone like puppeteers. We want this, we want that, we want this, we want that. End of. Crack on, Peter Jackson. Do what you can with what our demands are. And in my opinion, with what shit he was given, he actually made it work. Even though that there's stuff that we shouldn't really.
There's a lot of stuff that to be honest, I'd rather watch Lord of the Rings to The Hobbit. The Hobbit is kind of boring in places. It just drags on. The Hobbit wasn't a very long story. The Hobbit was a children's book. Yet they tried to make it some sprawling epic, I mean, 9 hour long. It wouldn't take you long to read the book.
I mean, it's like we mentioned earlier, The Hobbit is based over a summer holiday period for us, and The Lord of the Rings is based over a year plus. So it's just they made it over exaggerative. But
the events from when they leave the Shire onwards is that, but before they leave the Shire is quite a substantial amount of time. From the beginning to when they leave the Shire, it's a massive amount of time.
Yeah, that's 6 years because Gandalf disappeared for 5, and then he came back and then found out the One Ring is the One Ring.
Yeah, but what never made much sense about the movie is it's all kind of rushed at the beginning, but it wasn't. It was very slow because they didn't know the danger, so they took their time. But you don't get any sense of that. It's just Gandalf disappears. So keep it safe, keep it secret. Which I still hate that. Keep it secret, keep it safe nonsense. Because Gandalf seems like overly scared. You know what I mean? And he seems like quite a weak character at that point, which is, I think, it's disservice to Gandalf because he is a great intellect.
He's a Maiar.
Powerful.
Yeah, he's a Maiar. He's strong. He's
running around like a scared little child, searching around like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And he's like panicking. Gandalf wouldn't be panicky. So, that bit kind of annoys me that they've done it all like rushed. Oh my God, we've got to do this now. It wasn't. It was over years because Gandalf hadn't discovered what he needed to discover. And it took many, many years.
The last nail on the coffin for Gandalf when he actually realized that, holy shit, Bilbo had this ring and now it's gone back to Frodo. I think it's one of the Ring of Powers, one of the many Ring of Powers, because Gandalf knows there are many rings and only 3 of them are embedded with jewels, being the Elvish rings. And all of the men, all of the dwarves were all solid, all normal rings. And he just needed to make sure. And that last nail in the coffin for him was when he found the original script of Isildur talking about the One Ring, when he first saw it dropped in front of him after slicing Sauron's hand. And that's when he immediately goes straight back home straight back to Hobbiton, because he goes in secret. He doesn't let anyone know besides Lothlorien and Rivendell. He doesn't go to Saruman. He doesn't go to Mirkwood.
His whole conversation with Saruman as well, and Saruman's belittling him for being stupid and not realizing where the ring was from or what it was. It was all a bit like, really? It's like it didn't make sense for the character to be put in that position. It's like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, I'm a bit thick. It's all a bit like, I wasn't sure about that. Added for no reason.
It's clear as daylight because in the books that relationship Gandalf and Saruman have is a sibling, like
Mm.
proper. We're brothers. We take care of each other. But the entire time, they're both hiding secrets from each other. Gandalf and the Blue Wizards and Radagast, all four of them know that Saruman is the most untrustworthy of the five, but he's the wisest and strongest of the five. So he tries to keep everything secret, but he's still being that friend, that brother, that wizard connection that there was and still is until the point of Saruman's betrayal.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. What happened to Saruman of Many Colors?
Saruman
was that?
the White.
That's one of my favorite scenes from the poster behind you. Is when he becomes Saruman of Many Colors. And I love that scene. That is so cool. No, didn't get any of that. It's just Saruman the White the whole time. Gandalf the White's there and Saruman the White's there. You can't have two. He became, when he betrayed them, he became Many Colors. That was kind of the point of it, because he then put himself over everyone and in charge of everyone. Whereas before White, he was like a figurehead. When he became of Many Colors, he became like the overlord of all the other Maya. That was the kind of point of it, but they didn't do it, which was a bit.
It was. I understand why, but then again, we have many reasons for any other stuff, and we understand why they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Time, scheduling.
Yeah, but then they added so much like backstory, extra stuff with Aragorn and I've forgotten the name now. What the hell's the name? Arwen. They added loads of stuff with them and all that, and it's like, did we really need all that bullshit? I know they added. This is my problem with it. They add loads of stuff like that to go, oh look, love story. Yeah, but and that's explained later. You don't need her to be in it all the time and them swooning over each other and talking about the sword and there's just so much they do there, and you just think, why? They added all that stuff, so they had to cut important stuff that has meaning later on, and that stuff, it didn't matter because they talk, he talks about her and he's got the necklace and everything else, and it all makes sense, so you don't need those little extra bits all the time.
Great. I'm just wondering if when these films do come out, the first Gollum, Hunt for Gollum, is going to be middle to end of next year. We should get a trailer at some point this year. I'm predicting summer all the way to Christmas. In that period, we could get a first look at the film.
It depends when they actually start filming it.
That it's meant to be end of February.
Yeah.
They're meant, because the script's done, the script's sorted, they're just sorting out contracts.
The thing is, there's going to be a lot of work to do, and you think of how things are now compared with when they first made it. How CGI are they going to go? This is my worry, because the thing with Lord of the Rings is the work Weta Workshop did with all the costumes of the orcs and everything else was amazing, but are they going to replace that with people wearing dot costumes and they just CGI everything? So then they don't have to spend months and months and months getting all the armor and the costumes made, because they don't need to anymore.
The way that I'm going to counter what you're saying, I completely agree, though, 100%. I am worried if it does go down that direction. But Peter Jackson's the producer. He's kept over 80% of everything that he's done in Lord of the Rings. Everything that was made, he's kept. Would he dig everything out of storage and we do 50-50?
It won't all be usable, though.
I know.
This is the trouble. Some of the armor and so on will be, but a lot of it was made for specific people. They've got a lot of generic stuff. Any of the masks and things like that won't necessarily have held up.
I'm more on the lines of like Jurassic World, the most Jurassic World Dominion, because they got the animatronics. They got animatronics and they did CGI at the same time. What if we get a bit of that? What if we get the realism of animatronics and?
But what animatronics would we need? Because it's mainly people in costumes.
Yeah, the
orcs and things like that.
We've got Gollum, which is obviously going to be motion capture. I hope.
well, that's the thing. It's going to be, because that's what Andy Serkis does. It's motion capture. But along those lines, is he going to just say, "Well, we may as well just mocap all the creatures"?
I don't want to see
all the non-humans.
I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, I
You
do
look at
not want to see
but you
it.
look at like Avengers movies and all of that sort of thing.
They're
They've
going
all just dot
backwards.
costumes now.
Yeah, they're all going
Nobody
backwards.
wears real costumes. They've just got suits with dots on them. And if you don't have to do all the special makeup because you can do it all CGI, are they going to make all the orc heads and everything else? Especially if they've got, multiple orcs attacking Mirkwood or whatever else. Are they going to bother with, 1,000 extras wearing full costumes? Or are they just going to go, we can just create that?
See, I'm a firm believer that Andy Serkis and Peter Jackson will try and do as much as they can with practical. But I know I'm expecting it. It would be stupid of me not to expect it to
The
for them to use CGI.
The other side of that is the Mandalorian. The sets they use there with the sphere or whatever
Are all,
it's called.
Yeah.
That's a way
3D
to have
projector.
everything there without having to go on location. So people like Sir Ian McKellen and Sean Bean don't have to climb mountains and go in helicopters because they could do it on a soundstage.
But we already know that the 4 Hobbits are in New Zealand. They've shared photos of them being in New Zealand at Hobbiton. So,
which would be good. So it'd be good, but will that be?
That's like a glimmer of hope.
But then anyone go to Hobbiton. You could go to Hobbiton. Yeah. It's a tourist site.
Yeah.
So it does concern me that there's so much around, and they may get pressure and time pressure and budget pressure. Although CGI is expensive, it's not as expensive as making all of that armor and all of those weapons and all the prosthetics and everything else in New Zealand. That's a lot of expense and a lot of time. Think how long the original Lord of the Rings movies took to actually film and make.
Yeah, it took 5 to 6 years, but they didn't stop. For 5 to 6 years of their life, they just went to work. Every single day they went to work. They had Christmas and a little bit of summer off, and that was it. Birthdays. Sean Austin, he had 4 birthdays out of the 6 on site.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the time they have for the Gollum, a year. That's it. That's not a lot of time to film in multiple locations, and it would need multiple very different locations. When you think about it, there's got to be something happening in Mordor. We've got to have Sauron because he's obviously after Gollum as well. He's the only one that really knows what Gollum is about and what he's got. So there's going to be something there. There's going to be forests. There's going to be Hobbiton. There's going to be lots of different locations. And they're all in New Zealand, but that's multiple locations that they have to dress and get ready and all of that. In a year, it isn't a lot for something of that scale with all the different costumes and everything else. And that's my concern is they're not taking as much time over it. You look at the difference. How long did The Hobbit take compared with Lord of the Rings?
2 years. All 3 films, 2 years.
For free, 2 years for free. And what were the special effects like compared?
I'm not going to lie. It was okay. But there was a lot more room for improvement.
There was a lot of CGI.
It was okay, but a lot more for improvement. There was great CGI, there was bad CGI, and there was CGI that stuck out like a sore thumb with shadings and coloration. Either way,
that's my big concern.
Let's move on from the Hunt of Gollum. Let's spend the last 5-10 minutes talking about the future of the Lord of the Rings. We have already spoken about the Hunt for Gollum. The War of the Rohirrim was the start of animation. Season 3 and season 4 of that crap has been greenlit. Where do you think we can go? We're completely ignoring Amazon and that anomaly. Let's continue on from the War of the Rohirrim. Where do you think we can go with the story of Lord of the Rings after the Hunt for Gollum and with the recent War of the Rohirrim film?
I haven't watched it yet.
I highly recommend you watch it.
Yeah, I just haven't had the interest in it. I enjoy like anime and stuff like that, but I enjoy it as being anime. I don't so much enjoy other people making something in that style that doesn't make sense for what it already was. When I look at it and it doesn't feel like Lord of the Rings to me. So I've kind of not gone there. I've seen the trailers and I'm just like, it just doesn't. I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't fit in my head.
I
I'm having
will.
that disconnect, which is a bit. I'm not sure.
I will say it doesn't feel like Lord of the Rings, but there's story beats within the film that make you. It shoves it down your throat. This is Lord of the Rings world. You know this place. You know these people. You know these references.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel like the first 40 minutes. I was like, this is a completely different film to what I was expecting it to be. And then the final lot is more or less ripped out the book, ripped out the pages, and just thrown into a script. It is perfect, but the first half is.
That's a bit I struggle with, because that's what the trailer felt like. It felt like, well, a bit like kind of Rings of Power. It's something based in the world, kind of, but they've just done something a bit different. You know, that's kind of how it felt, the trailer.
For me, what I want to see for the future Lord of the Rings, because we've had the Lord of the Rings, and then the next generation was introduced to Hobbit, and then this new generation is introduced to the War of the Rohirrim and the Hunt for Gollum. I personally, and I think it's going to be a bit of a problem, but sometime in the future, I'm just hoping that one day we could see Melkor. We could see the rest of the Maya and all of the gods. I want the Silmarillion on screen, and I know
I don't see it happening anytime soon.
It's the biggest part of the Middle Earth story. The Silmarillion is by far the biggest part.
Yeah, but the problem is they've tried to do little bits and pieces with the Rings of Power.
Yeah.
To take kind of history and put it, and all they've done is messed with it and changed it. So I'm not sure at the moment anyone's willing to take on someone like the Silmarillion, because that is something that is very specific, very specific lore, and nobody is willing to make something that specific. And if they don't keep it specific enough, it's going to be even more outraged than the Rings of Power, which the Rings of Power isn't really based on it. They've kind of taken little bits and pieces and woven some bullshit story around it, which is what they'll use it for, to dip in and out. Oh, that's a name. Oh, that name was important. Let's put that person. That's all they're going to do. They're not going to, because Silmarillion isn't a kind of linear story in that way. It's more kind of collection of little bits and pieces of lore and so on. So there isn't a kind of structure in that way that they could use it for a movie.
Yeah.
Whereas Lord of the Rings is a very kind of, there's the beginning, there's the middle, there's the end. Silmarillion doesn't really work like that, does it? It's more of a kind of an appendix. And
the Silmarillion, because when you mention lore, very specific lore, that in what you've got like Morgoth and the battle against the elves, the Silmarillions and the Kinslaying and all that. But you've got 101 different other story beats going on in the background all over the world.
Do you know the only way I think they could do it is a TV show, but I'm thinking more the lines of, you know, Buffy and things like that, where it's a, you know, different story each week, but kind of around the same theme. They'd have to do it like that, where it'd be like episodes at different parts of the tale that don't necessarily link up together. It'd be kind of standalone, but part of one big, you know, Silmarillion is a, you know, 20 episode series or something. That's the only way they could do it. They couldn't make a movie out of it, because it would never make any sense, because there isn't a linear structure. They'd have to do it short stories, like weekly, but each story would have to be one a week. They couldn't spread it over 2 weeks. It wouldn't make any sense. It would have to be weekly different stories showing the lore. That's the only way I think they could do it, but I can't imagine they would, because it would be difficult to tell people this is what it is, because they're all different stories with different people involved. There's obviously crossovers, different ones, but because there's such a span of time, you wouldn't necessarily have that. And what order would you do it in? You know, where's the like linear progression? And you'd get used to a character and they'd never appear again. So I can't imagine them doing it.
Yeah, because when you just mentioned a character's never appearing again, that we can, if it does happen, and I don't think it will, I'm on the same boat there, but hypothetically, let's say it does happen, it's going to be confusing. You've got you've got the world, you've got the big songs that created the world that Middle Earth is a part of. Then you've got the destruction of that world. Then you've got the trees of light and dark. You've got all of these different major key story beats. And if they're going to want to do a series, a 20-part series, it might fall under the, oh, by the way, we're just going to focus on the main big story beats and we're going to ignore every little minor detail that play a bigger part in the future.
That's the trouble. The other thing with it is I can't imagine how you could kind of tell people, right, this is what it is. And they never do well historically doing prequel stories that explain things. And to be honest, I don't think it's needed. Like I've said before, we didn't need the bloody stupid rings of power nonsense because we don't care. I personally do not care what happened before. I don't care. I don't care about space wizards, where they come from. I don't care in Buffy. I don't want to see the first Slayer and why there's a Slayer. I don't care. There is a Slayer, and every generation has a Slayer, and it's a girl that beats up vampires and demons. That's all I need to know. Don't need to know something else. I don't need an explanation of why this happens and why somebody played with genetics or whatever else. I don't care. I can take it on face value that there's these bad guys. Sauron is a bad guy. He was a lesser bad guy. Now he's the big bad guy. I don't care what came before. I don't need to see his rise to power. I don't need to see any other stuff. I don't care.
Well, we're coming up to the end of the podcast, mate.
I was going to just mention one other thing. Go ahead.
Yep, I was about to say
games.
Get anything up. Right, yes, bingo, smashed on the head there. You mentioned at the beginning you've started playing Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings game that's been announced, and I hope it stays that way, is going to be the direct rival to Hogwarts Legacy.
Hogwarts Legacy, yeah.
And it's going to be an open world. It's going to be multiplayer. It can be played single player. And if that's the case, holy shit, there might be a new game of the year right there. But that's going to get a lot of
we were involved. Thinking that for Star Wars previously, when they announced this big Star Wars game. And what happened to that Star Wars game? Have you even played it? I've not gone near it because it's not what we wanted from a Star Wars game. The whole thing was you have an RPG, and there's been RPGs of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings before. But what you wanted with Star Wars, be able to go in, you can be Han Solo kind of character and be a smuggler, or you can be a Jedi, or you can be a stormtrooper, or whatever you want to be in that world. And they didn't do that. They did just a storyline that was like Starfield. So absolutely pointless. But that's the thing for me with Lord of the Rings is what choices you're going to get. Legacy, the Hogwarts Legacy, you are the main character. You don't have a choice. You're doing that because it's a storyline. So you are that character throughout it. I don't know if there's any multiplayer. I've not really looked much at Legacy. There's the whole point is I want to go into it without knowing. But with Lord of the Rings, is there going to be a linear progressive storyline? If there is, you'll have to be a certain character. It's no good having like the main storyline being, a hobbit from the Shire that goes off and does something, and you choose to be an elf. Well, then that storyline isn't going to work. So how do they balance that?
There's two ways, in my opinion, that can be dealt with. One is they rip the Lord of the Rings and then just copy and paste. And by the way, here's your characters. You can choose Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, so on and so forth, and you can build.
I don't think it will be. If it's it depends on multiplayer. Is it massively multiplayer, or is it multiplayer?
The second way they could do it, in my eyes, is they just absolutely make stuff up, but they keep to the roots of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, and they just go ahead, have fun. These are the missions. These are the storylines that you can do. Open world, crack on, have fun, like most RPG role-playing games and MMOs are of such. Literally ripped out of a text, throw the text into a game, and do whatever the crap you want. So you've got different storylines.
Looking at the key details and rumors, so genre, third-person action RPG open world.
Okay.
Aims to be a major AAA title comparable to Hogwarts Legacy, The Witcher 3, or Skyrim.
Okay.
Reportedly receiving 100 million from Abu Dhabi Investment Office. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. Gameplay focus expected to offer vast exploration of Middle-earth locations, Lothlorien, Minas Tirith, and so on, and potentially replicate the fun of Shadow of Mordor.
See, no, Shadow Mordor was really fun. If they could, that's screaming to me. That's just purely screaming like we're just going to make a Lord of the Rings game and we don't care. We're just going to make a Lord of the Rings game and we're going to let the fans dictate their own story. They're going to have fun, and that's what a Lord of the Rings game needs. I don't want a game that has a story within Middle Earth. That's
no, you made. Don't want. You want this. You want to be a normal elf or hobbit or something else.
Creativity.
You don't want to be Aragorn. You don't want to be Frodo.
I don't want to follow a story. I don't.
No,
I want
that could go on in the background.
Yeah,
and you occasionally come across one of the characters or something else happens in your travels around the world.
What I would like in that case, what I would like is to just hear the AI characters and AI talking to each other, have normal conversations like, "Oh, did you hear the war that happened at Helm's Deep last week? Oh my god!"
But then, how this is the thing I go back to with things that are set in this kind of medieval and oldie world, is that average people wouldn't have a clue where Helm's Deep is, and where would they find the information unless they go to, the Prance and Pony or something like that, and somebody that has been there was talking about it, and it would just be a tall tale. It's not going to be everyone talking about it. It's going to be kind of situations like that where you'll get rangers coming in and that sort of thing. But that's what I think would be interesting about it, is going around trying to find what has happened before, try and find the trolls, try and go to these other locations, find Weathertop. It's like, all right, this is where this happened, and do that as part of the fun of the game, but not necessarily story. But it looks like that if they're trying to compete with like Witcher 3 and Skyrim, then there's a linear progression storyline. It's not just an open world, do what you want.
On top of that, you mentioning like going to find Bilbo's trolls, the famous 3 trolls of Bilbo's stories. We could potentially start, like, this is just me brainstorming an idea. We could start, like, say, a couple months after the Fellowship have already left Rivendell. And then we are just like, oh, we're going to go around Middle Earth. Some places will be
not only that, but you can look at the different races. So you start when the hobbits leave Hobbiton. You start when Legolas leaves. You start when Boromir leaves. You start on the different locations where the different people leave. What about if you want to be an orc? Why not? What if they made it like GTA 5? So you have a story mode and you have an online mode.
Ooh.
So you have a story to progress, but you have a separate online character where you can just go and do whatever you want. Go and get a pony and just like ride off somewhere. Now that
would be
the way to make a game.
See, that's what we need. Continuing on from that, in the books we know the Kraken thing outside of the gates of Durin to go into the Mines of Moria. After that encounter, we never find out what happens. We could potentially go and backtrack and like, oh, let's go and see the gates of Durin. You see all the rubble.
Let's go find Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, let's go find Tom Bombadil.
Let's do that.
You can travel in the way the Fellowship did, and you can see the aftermath of their battle. You can see the aftermath of their encounters. You'd be like, I know what happened there. I see this.
Well, that's the thing. Would it be set after the events of Lord of the Rings, where there are still orcs and everything else? They've not been wiped out. They're still around and still dangerous.
I mean, orcs
is this the aftermath of what happens after?
Yeah, orcs and orcs don't die till about in between 6 and 10 years after Sauron is killed.
So do we look at like, oh, that would be kind of cool if the linear storyline is something to do with the main story of Lord of the Rings, but the online takes place after it, potentially.
See, I would like that. I would really like that, because that's GTA 5. You've got your story following what's going on in that realm, and then as soon as online comes, you're like 5 years later. That would be nice. I'd love that.
It's not going to happen, but that would be the perfect Lord of the Rings game in my view, because then you get both. You get a linear storyline where you can take part in the war, or there's a separate bit where you can just go fuck around and do what you want. It's like, I'm getting a horse and I'm going to Lothlorien. I'm going to see if I can get in there and see the lady. There's all of this stuff. There's like, I want to do this. But then if it's set afterwards, you won't find Galadriel or anyone else because she hasn't got power anymore because the rings are finished. So maybe it needs to be set before the events
Mm.
of the Fellowship. Maybe it needs to be in that time before then.
Here's a little something as well, because if this Lord of the Rings game it comes with the rights of certain story beats and characters, we could potentially, and this is just hypothetical, we could get the story, a made-up story of the two blue wizards. We could go to further beyond Mordor.
Exactly. It could
We
be
can go to the
anything.
Easterlings. We can go and see the pirates. We can go and see all.
I think it needs to be set around the time
Middle-earth,
of use of
mainly.
Middle-earth.
Yeah.
It needs to be set then, or otherwise it won't feel like Lord of the Rings.
No.
You know, you need to be able to go down the river and see the big statues of the kings. You need to be able to do all that kind of thing and visit Weathertop and have it like it is in the movies and the books. So it needs to be set around then. If it's set a little bit before the events of the Ring, then that, you know, the events of the movies and the books, I think that would be a good place because there's enough danger that there are orcs around and you kind of don't want to go too much into Mordor, but maybe you do. You know, so it gives that danger
I
as
want
well.
to walk throughout the bony ribcage of Smaug the Dragon. That would be such a nice sight. I want to go into Mirkwood and see all of these remaining dead ents. I want to see all of these creatures. I want to see spiders. I want to see troll. I want to see all sorts in this new game.
You want to go and see the swamp.
Hell yeah. That would be creepy in that game, in a game.
And Minas Mogul and stuff like that, and just go, you know, all those places. And how cool would it be to be able to explore that? But it's also the amount of you imagine if it's like Skyrim where it takes you ages to go places. You have your own little Lord of the Rings story. You have, you know, a band of friends, and you go like follow in the footsteps of the Fellowship and go all the different places, or do something else and go somewhere. It's like, let's go to Minas Tirith.
I'm not gonna lie. That will be probably one of the first things to do once say the story's done. Boom, story's done. First thing I'm doing, Hobbiton, Mordor. Just walk. I'm not even going to get a horse. I'm not going to get anything. I'm just going to get the.
You have to get a pony to carry all your stuff.
Yeah.
Surely, you know, we'll call him Bill.
But
we have to.
It would be like
to do it. It would be so good.
But, off we go on our travels.
But me being cynical, it ain't going to happen. It's going to be some pretty game where you have limited things you can do and fast travel different locations.
But there's always hope.
Only if it was made by Rockstar, and it's not. It's a what is it? What's the company? Embracer Group owns the video rights. It's like, who is it? It's like, what have they done? I don't even know what these people have made.
All right. Well,
in
that case, mate, we'll end it here. We've had a nice, very nice chat about the 25th anniversary of Lord of the Rings and so on and so forth. So, where can people find you?
If people want to find me on Twitter, you can find me on Twitch under the name Nukami or on YouTube under Wasn't My Fault or WMF Reacts. How about you?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at The Welsh Assassin or my new channel, The Welsh Assassin Streams, or you can find me on Twitch at The Welsh Assassin 998. Until next time, my name's been Josh.
I'm Nathan.
And bye-bye.
See you later.